listening to Who's Tom and Dick, a weekly podcast with your hosts, Martin Weavers, fighting stage 4 lung cancer, and Patrick Mortimer, living with heart disease. Why not grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy the chatter as we discuss and share information, talking about tough subjects, and offering help, support, and motivation with a positive mental attitude.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Who's Tom and Dick. Good morning, Martin.
Yeah, good morning, everybody, and good morning to you, Patrick, as well.
We thought we'd go out today, didn't we? And treat ourselves to lunch.
We are.
So we're in our own...
We don't care, do we?
We don't care, no. We've got a $5 to spend, so that's going to be a pretty good lunch here. So we're out on location, so if you hear any noises, that'll be all the rowdy people in this restaurant that we're sitting in, we find ourselves in. But this week's podcast is a real catch-up, particularly on my old mate Martin, who has now completed all these rounds of chemotherapy for his recently found second cancer, and he's had his scan results. So I'm going to say to you straight away, Martin, how did that go?
Well, the scan went really, really well, and for those people who don't realise what you do, you go through the little chamber and have all your body done, and they go from head to toe, and it tells you everything that's in your body that they need to look for, because I only get my abdomen and my chest done. So anyway, they look through it and the results come back first class.
First class?
First class, yeah. So where I had...
when you say first class, did they come back quick? Or do you mean that no, first class?
First class for me is a positive, because what I wanted was no cancer to be there. Yeah. And the cancer has now gone, the lump of cancer that I had. There's just a faint shadow, so they said. Yeah. So I must admit, when I went and got the results, I was a little bit disappointed that there was a slight shadow there, you know, because I went in there feeling really, really good, and then I turned out, then he said that, but I said to the doctor, I put it round to him. Yeah. I said to Dr. Patterson, I said, how do you feel about these results? He said, oh my God, he said, I'm so pleased. So I said, well, if you're really pleased, I said, then I've got to be really pleased. Yeah. So I sort of turned it around in a little bit, but I am pleased, because, you know, I'm trying to carry on a normal life, and it does work, but so, to stay positive.
Is this it now, or have you got any future treatments to go?
No. This is the start of the next phase, really, because I've had all the chemo. Yeah. First of all, I had those tablets, and I had to come off of them. Then I had chemo from September, when I had 6 sessions of it. But now I have immunotherapy instead of chemotherapy. Now, this is another thing that I was surprised at, really, because I have drugs A and B for chemotherapy, and I thought for immunotherapy I'd have drug C, but no, you don't. You have drug B, the minor one of the two, and that apparently cleanses your system, but it also protects you as well.
Right. So your immune system?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The immune system is down. Yeah. So they now need to build my immune system up. So when I'm with people in a crowd, I'm going to be, susceptible to catching anything. But at the moment, when my immune system's down, I'm more likely to get those things.
And how long does it take to get your immune system back to where it should be?
I've never asked him that, actually, but I should. Perhaps I'll ask him that next time. But this treatment will go on and on and on, as long as it doesn't affect my kidneys. Because we're going to talk about the different things that you can get later on. But the kidneys is the biggest thing. And he said to me, if they affect those, then we're going to have to change the drug. Right. Because this is what happened when I had another drug. It affected my kidneys, and it also affected my heart rate as well. So,
do you have to have this every, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Every 3 weeks, like I had the chemo. Yeah. And apparently some guy has had 43 sessions and holds the record in Bury St Edmunds Hospital for having these. So I said, well, I hope to have 44 then.
Oh, so this is an ongoing thing forever?
If it doesn't affect my kidneys, yeah. Yeah. So it's a thing that I will have every single 3 weeks. So, and it's the kind of thing I'll have to get used to. But the only drawback to it is I get the symptoms from what I had for the chemo, because part of it is part of the same drug. Right. So, which is a drawback, but I'm here. That's the thing. Yeah. That's the main thing in my life now. I'm here to enjoy life.
So you'll be having this treatment for the rest of your life, basically.
Yeah.
Do you have to have a blood test the day before, like you used to have? Or?
I do, yeah, because you have to make sure that you're well enough to go into hospital. And also they say, have you got a cold?
Yeah.
So,
and does this blood test your kidneys each time?
Yeah.
Right. So
it does. It does kidneys. It does the blood markers to show if you've got any infections and things like that. So and every single thing I need to have a check on is done in this blood.
Yeah.
So it's really good, really. And magnesium, which I was low in, I now have increased my magnesium. Instead of having 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening, I now have to have some in midday as well.
Yeah.
So I was still lacking a little bit in magnesium.
How long does the treatment take when you go into hospital?
Do you know what? This is the funny thing. It takes me longer to get into hospital and back than it does the treatment.
Does it really?
Yeah. Within half an hour, I'm done.
Yeah.
But it possibly takes an hour for me to get seen because there's so many people there. But there is a thing called the Thetford bus, and it goes travelling around different areas, and on a certain day it's in Thetford. Well, Thetford's only just up the road from me, and I think what I might do is change my day from a Monday or a Tuesday to a Friday to go on the bus, because I wouldn't have that hour to wait then.
Yeah.
Because I'd book my appointment in and get it done quicker.
Yeah.
That's for the future anyway.
Yeah.
So,
how about, how many of these you had?
I've had one now.
And what about side effects, and how do you feel after that?
Yeah, I got slightly muggy in the head, which I had before, but not as bad, believe it or not.
Right.
So that was good.
Yeah.
I had terrible mouth ulcers at the weekend because I only had it done last week, and I had terrible. But they've now gone today. So, but I've got a mouthwash that I take, and I have to swish that around my mouth. I normally do that before I go to bed, because then it's in my mouth during the night then.
Yeah.
During the day you have a glass of water, a cup of tea, cup of coffee, and it washes it all away. So
you don't think the mouth ulcers might be down to you being tired? Because obviously, when you get tired you get mouth ulcers, don't you?
I don't know, do you?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm really tired, or I've had a few days where I've been busy and I'm tired, sometimes my mouth will hurt.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, these really sting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good night's sleep and they subside. So whether that's a combination of that and the treatment, I don't know.
It could be, but just lately, I mean, I used to survive on, I used to go to bed about 2 o'clock in the morning and get up at 9 o'clock. So I was surviving on 7 hours sleep.
Yeah.
But since I've had the immunotherapy treatment, I've been going to bed now at 11 o'clock and I'm getting up at 8 o'clock. So I'm having 9 hours sleep now. So I'm having more sleep than I've ever had. But my wife just said to me, she said, "Oh, you look tired," but I don't feel tired. I feel more refreshed. And now we're getting this better weather, I want to be up in the morning and, do what I can for the, capabilities I can do.
Yep.
So...
get out in the garden, cut the grass, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Just take me time, have a cup of tea halfway through, and then carry on. But, so that's all the news, basically.
On the whole, the results were good.
Yeah, I am pleased. When I said I was disappointed, I've got to be pleased with that, because they could say, "Oh, sorry, there's no change," couldn't they?
Yeah, and that was an MRI scan you had, I take it, was it?
Yeah, that's CT.
A CT scan.
Yes.
So how many not how many CT scans, how many times a year will you be having a CT scan now?
Every 3 months.
Right,
Yeah,
so keep a track of that.
Yeah, he'll. So obviously this is the first week. So what are we in? We're in March. April, May, so probably in June I'll have another one, and then just to see how it's going and make sure the cancer hasn't grown back. That's what they're checking for.
Yeah.
So
well, you are having quite a busy month of it all, Martin, because I'm going to ask you a bum question now.
Oh no.
We get to a certain age, don't we, in our lives, when we're lucky to have the NHS in this country.
Yeah.
And we have to go through a few tests.
We certainly do.
And one of them relates to a stool sample.
It does.
May I ask, you recently had a stool sample, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I didn't realise that I was actually going to do it. But yes, I got a letter from the doctors to say that they were taking part in this bowel cancer experiment that everybody had to do. So I didn't think much of it. Suddenly, a week later, I got a letter through from the bowel cancer people. And they wanted me to give a stool sample. And I'd never done this before.
What was this, a footstool or
a stool from my bottom?
Oh, right, okay.
So anyway, I read all the literature on the package, and then they said you have to put this stool sample in this little file, which is about 4 inches long and about a centimetre wide. And I thought, how the heck am I going to get that?
Well, I've had the same experience, you know.
Have you?
Yeah, well, that happens when you reach 60. They send it out to you as standard.
Well, I never got one then.
You were probably away in Spain, weren't you?
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't. I celebrated my 60th in Spain.
As soon as you're 60 in this country, they send you out a bowel cancer stool sample testing kit. And you have to gather a stool sample.
Yeah.
And I saw the little bottle they sent, and I thought exactly the same. How the heck am I going to get it in there? You know?
So for people who are younger and have never experienced this experience,
they got a surprise coming.
We'll let you know how it goes. And so basically, what you have to do.
Can I ask you a slightly personal question here?
Oh, well, go on then.
How did you take your stool sample?
Well, this is how I did mine. Other people might do it different ways, but they do actually give you some suggestions.
They gave me a little spoon.
Yeah, I had a spoon.
Yeah. When I say a spoon, I mean almost a microscopic spoon.
Yeah, but you've got to put the sample on something to use the spoon. And they say don't put it in the toilet.
Yeah.
So you can't scoop it out of the loo. So what I had to do, I had to get wads of toilet paper.
Yeah.
And I had to position it behind where I was sitting. And I hope you can imagine this, everybody. So I'm sitting there, and I had to do what I had to do on the toilet paper. But then I thought to myself, well, I haven't finished. I still need to do some more. And I'm not going to keep loading this piece of toilet paper up and it's going to overflow. So I had a sink next to me. So I put it in the sink, making sure it didn't touch anything, because you don't. If once it touches anything, then they can't sample it apparently.
Yeah.
So anyway, I put it in the sink. Did what everybody does when they finish going to the toilet for the number twos, and then I started to try and get this in the bottle.
Not the whole lot, surely.
No. I'd never got that in there, I can tell you that right now. And so I got the little spoon, like you say.
Yeah.
And in the little file that they give you, there's a little bit of liquid in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
And so I got the spoon and I just wiggled it around in the feces, and some of it went on there, and I stuck it in the little file, screwed the top on, and then flushed what I'd done down the loo.
You didn't leave it in the sink?
No, not for Lily to find. And so I put it in the little package that they give you, because they give you a sealed envelope to send it all off in, and it really needs to be sealed, doesn't it? And it went off, and I got my results back about 2 weeks later. They said about 2 weeks later, and the good news was that I'm clear of bowel cancer.
Good.
So which is because when you hear of people getting cancer, you hear it spreads to various other parts.
Yes.
And that was the good thing about my scans, that Dr. Patterson said that it hasn't spread anywhere else.
Yeah.
So and then when you get this sent to you, you think, oh God, and it is a worry. And I won't deny that I didn't even sort of think about it. So, but no, I'm glad I got the results back.
I think that's why a lot of people don't go for these tests, because they're afraid of what results might come back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, and it's the thing when, like you say, when you get to a certain age, everybody's got to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, or should have.
Should have.
Yeah, should have.
Well, I had a similar experience.
Yeah, and yours come back all okay?
I had a similar method.
Did you really? Yeah.
I looked at the sample pot and I thought, how the heck am I going to get anything in there? But then when I read the instructions, I was pleasantly surprised that they didn't need the whole sample.
I know. It's only a minute bit they need.
I know.
And it must go in the liquid and do something in that liquid, but it's very, very, very clever.
I did make sure that I didn't have sweet corn or beetroot the night before, because apparently that can change the appearance.
Yeah, it can do, yeah. Well, beetroot would make it red.
Anyway, moving on, because...
because that's cancer.
That's cancer. Moving on.
And that's a bowel thing done.
That's the bowel covered, thankfully. And you had another event, didn't you?
I did.
You had your diabetes check.
Well, yes and no.
Now, we're going to probably blame statins for this event.
Yeah.
But supposedly you had a diabetes test.
Yeah, I went to the doctors. I booked in my diabetes check, which they told me to do. And I went there and I sat down, and the nurse said to me, she said, how's your breathing? So I said, not too bad, actually. She said, how many times are you using your asthma spray? I said, well, over Christmas, I had a little bit of bronchitis and a chest infection. So I was using it probably a little bit more than I used to, because I normally have it morning and night. And so anyway, then she started asking me other questions about this inhaler. So my brain is thinking, what has this got to do with diabetes?
Yeah.
So anyway, I said to the nurse, I said, excuse me, can I ask you a question? She said, yeah, of course you can. I said, what has this got to do with diabetes? She said, this is your asthma check. So I'd confused the whole picture. I'd gone in there waiting for a diabetes check, and it was an asthma check.
I'll tell you what, it's a good job you didn't take a sample, isn't it?
I know.
That would have been really embarrassing.
Cut out the middleman. No, but she laughed, and I thought, I was embarrassed about it. But anyway, so I had the good thing was that we carried on with the asthma check.
Did you ever get to have a diabetes check at all? Or?
Well, I had first of all, the results of the asthma were that I didn't have to increase any inhaler or anything like that, and she's quite happy with it, so I can carry on. But then the next week I thought to myself, well, I better book myself in for this diabetes. So I made a point of saying it is for diabetes.
Yep.
And I got the check with the nurse, and you have to go in there, and she has to look at your feet.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, she says, I need to check your feet, Mr. Weaver. She said, take your shoes and socks off. So I took my shoes and socks off. And then she gets this thing in her hand with a needle sticking out at the end of it. I said, what are you going to do with that? So she said, no, don't worry. She's flexible, and she has a nylon tip.
Oh, right.
So when I first looked at it, I thought it looked like a bit of metal. And I thought, if she's going to stick out my toes, I am going to jump like hell. So anyway, she got it, and she said, close your eyes. So I closed my eyes. And then she touched my feet, and she said, can you feel that? Can you feel that? So every time I had to tell her, yes, yes. A bit like when you see a spot at them when you have your eyes checked. Yeah. So, and that's another thing I've got to have done, my eyes. So, but I've never had them checked before. They've always been green. Anyway, I'll let the people think of that one. Anyway, so I had to check on that, and then I've got this terrible thing at the moment that the skin is peeling terrible on my feet. So anyway, she just said use aqueous cream on that. So I have to rub the aqueous cream in, and it is getting slightly better now. Yeah. So, but all the rest of the check was good, because you have to be round about 5 on their little scale, and I'm just outside the 5. She said, but because I've lost weight, she said, I'm not, too worried about, because I had a blood test and everything, another thing for a blood test. Yeah. And she said, I'm quite happy. She said, I don't want to see you till November.
Right. So are you diabetic or not?
Officially, I'm on the cusp of diabetes.
On the cusp?
On the cusp.
I like men on the cusp.
Yeah. Type 2 diabetes. Yeah. But she said, it's nearly out. I've nearly dieted and
nearly got
out of
on
it.
the right side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she's not worried, she said. So that's.
And since that visit, which way have you gone? Up or down? In weight, I'm talking about.
I've stayed the same.
Excellent. Yeah. So you're still on the cusp.
I'm still on the cusp.
I love that word, cusp.
But I'd like to lose another stone. But then Dr P says it's good to have a little bit of weight to fight the cancer. So it's a vicious circle, all this, really.
Normally, isn't a diabetes check just a blood test? I've not heard of this prodding your toes and things before.
I think it's because when I went in there I saw a doctor first of all, and I told him my feet are terrible, and he upped my statins and things like that. Right. Because he said that would help. So I've still got the only way I can really describe the way my feet feel, and I can feel it now as I'm talking. It's like pins and needles. Yeah. And it just hasn't gone. I've upped the tablets, and they still feel the same. And that's why she was feeling for sensation in my feet. Yeah. But I'm, as I mentioned earlier, I'm here. I feel fighting fit. I don't actually feel as if there's anything wrong with me. Although in the mornings when I get up and I'm tired, and then, sometime during the day I get fatigued and I have to sit down and have a coffee. So
we were having this conversation earlier on in the car. We are in our 60s now, so things don't work quite as well as they did when we were in our 20s. No. So you've got to, I suppose, expect some sort of deterioration just over age.
Yeah, our brains don't tell us that we're 60, do they?
No.
We still think we can do just as much.
Just as much as we used to, yeah.
And, well, I definitely can't. What about you?
I still think I can, but I know I can't, you know.
I mean, you said you cut your lawn the other day, but I bet you didn't whiz through that like you would have done.
No, I knew I'd cut it afterwards, and the next day I felt a few muscles aching that I forgot I had. But that's just because I got out the rhythm, really.
Yeah.
But talking about feet, I mean, when I have my heart checkup every year, they always look at my feet.
Do they?
Because apparently with heart disease, you can retain a lot of water.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the first place for it to go, apparently, I suppose because it's downhill, is in your ankles.
Yeah.
So they always check your ankles to see if there's any swelling or any increase in ankle diameter to see if you're retaining water.
So if people look on our website or on our Who's Tom and Dick, they'll see a picture of you playing golf. You ain't got any ankles. That was in retaliation to the picture you put of me.
Yes, and somebody actually said they couldn't tell which was the golf club and which was my leg. And I'm surprised that weren't you.
Well, I saw a dog come running after it, so...
So they do check the ankles for that. So, but I never realised they checked them for diabetes.
Yeah, so talking of your checks, because we've just been talking about my checks, when are you due for any more checks?
Mine's due around my birthday, so my next one is September.
Right, yeah.
And I go in for a sort of a generalised check, really. Make sure I get a medical check for drugs around about June time, just to make sure that they're all doing what they should be doing, and a blood test, of course.
I was just going to say, do you have to have blood tests as well?
So I have to have a blood test to make sure that, same as you, that the drugs aren't affecting my other organs.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Out of the whole scenario, but touch wood, they'll be okay.
Well, we're both surviving and
surviving,
and we've...
I don't know, we're just about to have a meal here.
If we get food poisoning or anything like that. No, we'll be all right. But we've got this positive mental attitude between us.
Oh, most definitely.
Which does definitely help. Definitely helps us. So
we were talking also about getting Betsy back on the road, your old camper, aren't we?
I know. Yes.
You'll be going out in that soon, surely.
Yeah. Well, Linny's starting a new job, and she's now her own boss.
Yes, I know.
So we can go anytime we want, and it's a kind of thing where, and I think with a motorhome, if you say, "Oh, I'm going to go the weekend," and it pours down with rain, you think, I don't really want to go now.
Yeah.
But at least like a day like today, when you look out and you think it's lovely and sunny, look at all the sun there. Let's go now for a couple of days.
Yeah.
So now she's self-employed, which does make it a little bit awkward because she's got her own cleaning company and she has different appointments for different people, different days. But I'm sure the people will be quite flexible where she can go and where she's got a spare bit of time, she can go back to them another time, or just lose a couple of hours, you know. So because that's the way it would be. So if we can get away at the end of March, at least we get one before then. But last year I knew that I'd got to have a new window wiper, and probably new mechanism. But this year I've been more wise. Yeah. So I didn't leave it all winter to, go...
Yeah, seize up.
Yeah, seize up, that's right. I was using it every now and again and starting her up as well.
Yeah.
So that's...
Excellent.
Good.
Good.
Should be all ready.
Well, it's nice that you can go spontaneously. That long word.
I know. Well, you're getting clever
now. You can jump in, like today, you can say, right, we've got 3 days, we've got the weekend, Friday, finish early, let's go.
Yeah, well, that is the plan, really. But we only go local, sort of an hour and a half away.
You don't have to go far, do you?
No, because the beauty of it is living right on the cusp of Norfolk.
On the cusp of Norfolk. Cusp. What did I say? Cusp. on the cusp of Norfolk.
Custard. We've got some lovely places in Norfolk. We went to Sheringham.
I think you live on the cusp.
Yeah,
the cusp of risk.
Yeah, we went to Sheringham last year. It was lovely, and Cromer.
Yeah.
And I want to go to Hunstanton because our favourite shop is in Hunstanton,
That's right,
isn't it?
Biggest joke shop in the country, I think.
Biggest joke shop, yeah.
You could try and see if the King will let you stay at Sandringham.
I wonder if he would.
Park up in he's got a bit of ground there, hasn't he?
Well, no, there is an actual campsite there.
Yeah.
In Sandringham.
Right.
I don't know whether he runs it, if you have to go to see him.
You stand on the gate.
Yeah,
that's a pound.
Right. Oh, hello, Martin. He goes, what time you booked in for?
That's a pound to stay here, not a pound. Do you want to use the toilets?
But there definitely is one in the grounds of Sandringham.
Yeah.
It's very expensive, apparently.
Is it?
Yes, I might avoid that one.
Well, you could have a night there and Because
to say I've stayed there.
Sandringham, I don't know whether you've ever been to Sandringham, but Sandringham's very long. The house is very long, but it's very, very narrow.
Yeah, I went there as a kid.
Yeah.
There's a toy museum there, I remember being there or something like that. And went there as a kid, but as a kid you can't remember everything. I was only about 13 or 14.
Well, that sounds marvellous, mate.
Yeah.
Sounds marvellous.
So,
you know what we ain't had for a long time?
Well, I can tell you what we ain't had for a long time.
Our listener numbers have gone up because of it. We haven't had a joke of the week, have we?
Haven't we? Oh, of course, yeah.
So I'm going to give you, as it's your day today, and we've been speaking about your issues and your feet, your stools, your stools.
Yeah.
Do you reckon they know what turds are in America?
My son. They do now.
My son Simon always says when he comes round, I'm just going to lay a cable.
I've never heard it called that before.
Haven't you? Or he often says, I'm just going to drop the kids off.
I think he probably is actually dropping the kids off, Pat.
You ain't got the kids.
Oh, right. I was going to say that's what you're thinking of.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to do Martin's joke of the week.
So a wife texts her husband on a cold winter morning. She said, window's frozen. She said, it won't open. Husband texts back. He said, well, don't worry. He said, pour some lukewarm water over it and then gently tap the edges with a hammer. So the wife texts him back a few minutes later, said, computer's really messed up now. That was a short one, wasn't it?
It was, really, yeah. That reminds me of the joke I told Sir David Jason.
Which, remind me?
When I looked out the window of my hotel window, I thought I saw David Jason walking across the lawn, but it wasn't. It was just a touch of frost.
I remember you telling that. And he said he hadn't heard it, didn't he?
Oh, and he liked that one, didn't he?
Yeah, and I said it's doing the rounds because loads of people are saying that. I even had that one sent to me. No, such memories, hey?
So just to clarify for our overseas listeners, Sir David Jason is a very well-known actor in this country.
And he won the poll for the most popular comedy actor, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And he appeared in a programme called A Touch of Frost.
Yes.
Hence the double entendre there.
Now, it comes to something when you have to explain your jokes. I don't have to explain mine, you see. They've all got a meaning.
They don't need to explain yours, Martin, because they've turned off by this time. Anyway,
right.
I think that brings us to the end, unless you've got anything else to say today.
I feel a bit selfish. It's all been about...
You are selfish.
Yeah, me. But I've had so much happen in the last month.
Well, I'm going to look forward to my lunch now. God knows what it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to order.
But we'll have to say thanks very much, everybody, for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. I'm just glad I'm cancer-free at the moment, and we'll keep you posted on any news that happens between the two of us, won't we?
Yep.
Thank you very much for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Yeah, have a good week, everyone. Yeah, bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Who's Tom and Dick podcast with your hosts, Martin Weavers and Patrick Mortimer. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite streaming platform. New episodes are available every Friday. Thanks for tuning in.